ladies and gentlemen, and one of the most creative scorers in the W.
Starting to go on a rampage here. They've cut it to 5.
And with the first overall selection in the 2023 NHL draft, the Chicago Blackhawks are very proud to select from the Regina Pats, the Western Hockey League, Connor Bedard.
What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, and you are listening to another episode of Skyline. I know that was the Mike on the Mic intro, but I can't get over it, so cry about it. But I'm sitting here today with the legend herself, the queen of marquee sports from the Marquee Network, the Chicago Sky, and the Chicago Cubs, and all WNBA, Karli Bell. Karli, I appreciate you for coming on.
Hey, man, two city kids about to talk some hoops. Let's do it.
Man, and I was telling you this before we got on, I'm such a believer in life is a simulation, and however you want to take that, if you're listening, is however you want to take that. I'm not saying the government, I'm not saying anything like that. And this isn't an Andrew Tate podcast, but I'm just saying things happen in very weird ways. Obviously, I ordered this shirt. I told you guys I was ordering this shirt 3 weeks ago. Just finally came. It was the D Wade Final Tour shirt. It's obviously got the back with all the dates. It was one of my favorite shirts. Sold out on BleacherReport.com. So I had to get it off eBay. Some other dude wore this. Mad weird, but whatever. I had to do what I had to do. All right. And it turned out okay, because the same day that this comes in the mail, Karli and I find out that Dwayne Wade is finalizing a deal to become part owner of the Chicago Sky. If you saw the intro already, it's something that I feel like everybody through Chicago Sky media and just everybody in the organization knew from top to bottom, like this was happening at some point. But Karli, I want your initial reactions. How do you feel about the Flash, D Wade, a kid from the city, becoming part owner of the Chicago Sky?
First off, I mean, that shirt is flashy.
Man, come on.
Couldn't help myself.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
No, I mean, when we saw him at practice, oh man, that was in June, I want to say. We saw him at practice. And when he was there, I saw how he was interacting. I saw how he was talking. And I was like, okay, if this goes through, this is a huge move, because not only does he have capital that can absolutely help the Sky franchise in wanting to get their own practice facility and upgrade their facilities in general, get players more money, be able to hire more resources to help the team get better, not just with coaches, but like with their own PR staff, with their social media staff, with their marketing staff, like just be able to have more capital to go towards growing that team as a whole is something that everyone that is a basketball fan and specifically a WNBA fan should be insanely excited about, because the Chicago Sky are, an anomaly of the WNBA because they are an independent team. They're not partnered with an NBA team. Can kind of bring in anybody and everyone that they want to. And because of that, this allows this Dwayne Wade partnership to come through. And we love seeing city folk give back to the city in any type of way. I know that you could probably agree to that, but anytime we see anyone from the city give back to the city, I don't care what it is. I'm excited. I'm happy about it. And to give back to women's basketball, something that's people that have been playing ball like myself, we've known that this is hot, but has been hot now for from a mainstream standpoint over the past, I'd say 3-ish years, maybe 4, 3-ish, 4 years is where it's really taken off. And to see mainstream names like Dwayne Wade, and to even go into other pro athletes like Tom Brady and everyone else, give the WNBA the respect that it deserves by being able, if they can't help them in any other way, bringing the capital is the way to do it. And so I'm just ecstatic, because this is going to be a huge move for the Sky and a huge move for women's basketball moving forward.
Yeah, and I think, we talk about it all the time with the ownership of the WNBA and just the things that I feel like could be pushed forward a lot more, and things that could help grow this game, I think is such a huge part of that. Like I was just working with Cube not too long ago for the ASAP network, and we were doing an amazing job of just promoting it and just having those conversations like, yo, like we know people might not want to watch a bunch of random guys from overseas and all these other places hoop, but here their coaches are going to be Lisa Leslie, Nancy Lieberman, and here let's throw in Dr. J and Gary Payton. Like that's ways to make this game a lot more interesting, and to throw in Dwayne Wade. Obviously he's not going to have a huge role, and as much as I love James Wade, it's not my favorite Wade that I would love to coach the Chicago Sky. You know, I would love for D Wade to be out there coaching Kalia Copper every single night. And I think he owes the city something like that. So I'm happy.
You're just trying to speak it into existence right now,
Listen,
trying to get on the coaching staff. Is that what
I love Emre. He's my guy. We got the same haircut, so I'm rocking with him right now. But, you know, I think at the end of the day, you know, I think Dwayne Wade will definitely be more involved than just owner. I think he will be involved in these, not in the games, but in these practices and just talking to individuals like Kalia, obviously, Rebecca Gardner. I think he would love Rebecca Gardner, and just really breaking down their game. That made me sad because now I miss Bex. But with that being said, transitioning that, obviously, we don't have too much to go off of with the Dwayne Wade deal yet. It's not official, but Dwayne Wade posted it. So if you're saying I'm not official with it, cry about it. The man himself said it. But with that being said, 8-12 to start the season. I want to hit it in a very I want to be very specific about this. I am not hating on this woman. I think she is amazing. I love everything she's doing for the Chicago Sky, but I want the first question to really be about something that happened in the offseason that shocked everybody. The 4 draft picks that are going for Marina Mabry right now don't look like we're in a position to where, hey, we don't care. Like James Wade obviously said, yo, like those picks won't matter. Like we are going to be contending. And now I'm looking at the standings and I see Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, a bunch of other dogs in this year's draft. And I go, it might matter. So I want to ask you, how are you feeling so far about it?
It doesn't matter. And I hate when people bring up these draft picks because at the end of the day, one, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese have 1 to 2 years left of eligibility. Take the basketball part out of it. Why in the world would they leave college early where they're making 6 figures off of NIL deals to come and play for a WNBA team where your rookie salary is $50,000? Like, I'm sorry, like they're going to stay in college as long as they can to make their money. And if you also look at it, everyone wants to keep talking about team expansion in the WNBA and all of that stuff, when in reality, what needs to happen is roster expansion.
Exactly.
Stop having it at 12, make it to 14, and have your minimum be 12. So then they can add on 2 extra hardship.
And really quick, I just want to say again, Kayana Trailer, I miss you so much. Please come back. But I had to throw that in.
Here's the gig, though. If you even look at just this year, not even with the Sky, but in the WNBA as a whole, a lot of those draft picks did not make teams.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, and this is the difference between men and women's basketball in the recruiting aspect of how this is. And if NBA fans take offense to it, by all means take offense to it. NBA is pickup basketball. NBA is glorified pickup ball. That's what it is. It's if you're playing with people that are the very athletic. They are some of the most athletic people to play the game. Like you have the Jason Tatums, look at DeMar DeRozan, look at all these people. They're LeBron, but very athletic, very, very, very athletic. And they play the game in an athletic way.
Right.
Women's basketball is all about IQ, schematics, and understanding the game on such a fundamental level that athleticism will be impressive. Look at Kalia Copper. Her athletic ability allows her to drive, her body control is great. Her hesitation move is the fastest in the game. Fastest in the W. I haven't seen anybody else with a quicker first step.
She's the D Rose of this team for sure.
Great comp. And so for me, people want to argue these draft picks, but when a majority of the draft picks that even came in can't even make the league, why is everyone pressed? Because if you look at even what Wade did last year with all of the, with the stacked team that he had in Candace and Sloot and Allie and Emma, he still brought in more international talent than
Rebecca. And you look at Julie. And
look at
what
Rebecca. No one knew who Rebecca Gardner was. No one knew who she was until her defensive ability put her on a stat sheet and put her in a scouting report. She was undrafted out of college. We kind of have the similar situation now with this Sky team. We have a Robin Parks, undrafted out of VCU, 9 years overseas, still hasn't found her rhythm here. And I love her. She's fantastic. She's one of my favorite people off the court. She a dog through and through. And so I want to see her have her moment, but everyone keeps talking draft picks. One, all these college players are going to stay as long as they possibly can to make the money that they want to make.
Right.
Take the basketball. If I'm Caitlin Clark, why would I go to the WNBA right now?
I think I just saw Angel Reese just got a free Benz just because, and I was just kind of like, oh. I
think both of them, if I'm not mistaken, are projected to make over $550,000 this year.
Yep.
That's the baseline. That's their baseline is $500,000. That's their baseline. You have WNBA players making half of that. You have Breanna Stewart only making like $210. You have these elite players not even making half of what these.
And that's after the rookie deal too. So that's 4 years away. You'd have to be working a normal 9 to 5 pretty much if you're just looking at that payout. But I think
and everyone's pressed, and I'm like, stop. Like the if you want to get these people into the W, you need to make the W more appealing.
Exactly. And I think that's something you made a great point. And I want to circle back on the draft picks too, because I do think I hear some people's conversations, but the great point that I think you made was the athleticism that wasn't a part of the game naturally and just a part that you see every single day. Like you see the Kalia Coppers of the world, the Diana Taurasi's, the Sue Birds, the Maya Moores. That's great. But and BG Duncan the other night, by the way, was amazing. And it's exactly why I needed her back, because I missed that woman so much when she was gone. But it's something that didn't miss a beat either. Just came back dunking. What the fuck are we talking about? If I was in the house for 2 weeks, I'm not playing.
Vert's not up there yet.
Yeah, I'm not there. My Achilles doesn't let me do those kind of things anymore. I got a thing. But looking at the Asia Wilsons now, the Kelsey Plums, looking at Breanna Stewart, Kalia Copper, like we're talking about individuals that are starting to really make some noise. And now Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, my favorite little white girl who's going to go crazy at LSU this year. It's going to be insane. I saw she broke her gold medal, but she didn't really break it. She just broke the strap to it. So it's like, cry about it. But like, how do you break a medal? You can't break a medal. But it's definitely something that I think at the end of the day, you're starting to see these women become a lot more athletic and just these insane forms of themselves that you haven't typically seen. Like we respectfully, because it's our girls and we know we love them. Like the Vanderquigs doing their thing, but like the classes that are coming out are from point guards and a guard perspective are insane. And it's something that I've never seen before. And I'm very excited about it. But to the point of the draft picks, I think the conversation I've seen a lot of Sky fans on Twitter heated about. I have one in particular that's always in my comments like, man, fuck, I wish we had these draft picks. I'm like, I love Marina. I'm so huge on Marina. That's why I wanted to start it off with like, this has like some people were talking down on Marina. And I'm like,
which made no sense.
Right. Like, what is at it, James? I can understand. But like, Marina didn't.
Yeah. Why are you going after the player who was just the gain of the trade? Right. Like she had nothing to do with it. If anything, be upset at James Wade, but in reality, understand where James Wade comes from, because he has an international background, and he also knew that a majority of this class was not going to make it in the W. The classes aren't there yet, because this is also the difference between women's college hoops and the WNBA and international basketball. They're 3 different classes. College basketball, most people that get recruited, there's only a couple coaches that know how to break their players into the WNBA. Dawn Staley is the best example of it. She is one of the brightest coaches in the modern era, hands down. One of the best women's basketball coaches I've seen in a long, better than Gino. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. I love Dawn Staley. Her, UConn, and Duke are the kind, in Tennessee. Those are the only 4 schools that know and create their programs like blue bloods in men's basketball. They're like the versions of Kentucky and Kansas and all of those people that churn out those talent to play at the high level. Majority of the WNBA, though, they come from those schools, but also a lot of them come from, look at Kalia, she went to Rutgers. You have people going to UCLA. You have people going to DePaul. You have people going to mid-major schools. Right. And if you look at how coaches recruit them, they recruit them to fit their system.
Right. And Karli, can I say something totally disrespectful right now?
Do it.
Caitlin Clark's from Iowa, bro. I've been to Iowa. I played ball a little bit in Iowa. It's a horrible time. Like, what are you talking about? Like, all respect to Caitlin. Caitlin's from
All
Iowa.
respect to Caitlin, but Iowa
hero in Iowa, but she's the only thing keeping Iowa relevant right now because the Field of Dreams is only once a week every year. You know what I mean? Like, that's really what it is. And you're starting to see that. And LSU, like, LSU is a juggernaut, is a gauntlet right now. But let's be real about what women's basketball was at LSU for the entirety of its history was nothing. Like, it really was just kind of there. And even the big time schools, like, you ever talk about Ohio State basketball? No. Like, we're all talking about Northwestern sports right now. It's not because they're good at sports. It's because they're horrible individuals and horrible players. Like, that's being real. Maybe not players, maybe coaches, but players were definitely involved as well. But to get into that, that's a whole different podcast because fuck. But that's something that I think at the end of the day, when you look at it for what it is, I understand where some fans are upset this season. But if you think that the Sky are going to be like that the next 2-3 years, like Elena is, to me, going to be such a huge part of this team. I think obviously Court is not going anywhere. She loves her connection with Ka, and this woman just became a point guard in like a span of a month, and she's doing it at such a high level, top 5 in assists right now, and snubbed out of an all-star appearance
as a guard.
Right,
rebounds,
snubbed out, but not an all-star though. Karli, don't hype her up. Not an all-star. Not an all-star. But
well, like, this is the thing, and this is what I always tell people: all-stars who the fans want to see. That's great. It's all about that all WNBA team. That's what matters at the end of the day.
And I think she'll get it. I definitely think she'll get it. But Kalia Copper being in her 3rd time, I think it's going to be so much fun this weekend. We know our guys Chris and Steven are going to be over there. I know Brian Teague's going to be there as well. Got a lot of people we know over there, so it's going to be a lot of fun watching them do their thing. But getting into it, like the season as a whole, because we could talk about all day. What if the Sky finished with the number 1 pick? Like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, it happened. Like, it is what it is at the end of the day. And me personally, I think if you're a Chicago sports fan, I want to end it on that for the draft thing, because it had to be addressed because I've been seeing it way too much after the first half of the season. Like, I get it. Like, the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese thing is attractive, but to your point, probably not coming anyways. And 2, at the end of the day, I loved James Wade. I still love James Wade so much for being the only real Chicago team who said, yeah, we don't do this tanking thing. Like, we're going to produce every single year. And we're not going to be like the Bulls or the White Sox where we're middle of the pack. We do just enough to sell tickets, but we don't do good enough to get the number 1 pick or win a championship. We actually either compete for a championship or win a championship. And that was really the standard. So first of all, and if you've been watching games, Marina's dropping 30 on like a consistent basis. So I'm loving everything we're seeing from her. Really working it and really just becoming into her own, even though obviously I felt like a big part of, why it didn't work out in Dallas was defensively, her and Enrique. It just didn't really mesh. It wasn't, you need somebody to hold it down, and they didn't have that Rebecca Gardner to really be able to give that. But I want to ask you for the first half of the season, because I'm tired of talking about the first half of the season. We talked about James Wade. We're not even going to get into that. We talk about D Wade now. It's what we do here. But that's what we do here.
Forward.
We get better. J Wade, who? We got D. But no, looking at it for what it is, Coach Emre and everybody else on that staff, breaking it down and understanding what this second half of the season was. I was talking to Ka the other day in our post game with Connecticut and just talking to her, and she said, like, we're not fucking around anymore. Like, not that we were in the beginning, but like, we need to get it together. And Ka, I love Ka so much because I feel like Ka got something from that 2021-2022 team, from Candace and Allie and Sloot, and even in such an underrated performer and such an underrated leader in Emma, who just did amazing things. And I think Ka, when Ka first came in, like, she was a sponge, and you could see it. Like, she was next to Candace all the time, like walking around, like, and that's really what it was. And now it's like, I remember at the end of the year, it was me, you, and we were all talking to them at the end of the year. And I said, hey, have you had any conversation with them? And this is paraphrasing, of course, but what I took from it was, nah, I didn't talk to them. Fuck it. Like, I don't care what they do. Like, go stay over there, go to Las Vegas, go to New York, go to the Sparks, go wherever you want to go. But this is my town now. And I love that from her. And I think Court's bought into that. I think Marina's bought into that. Elena, I just saw her mic'd up the other day for Marquee. And it made my whole day. But She was doing the Turkish dance. It was dope. It was dope. Even though she's Aussie all the way, but she was
Aussie all the
right.
way.
She was rocking with it. But my question for you is, looking at the second half of this season, I don't know what's going to happen with Rebecca. I really don't know what's going to happen with Izzy timeline wise. But if this team can put it together, and at what point they put it together, what kind of run do you anticipate from them for the second half?
It's going to go one of two ways. And this is, you brought up a great point with Kalia and Candace. I think this All-Star break is the most needed All-Star break for this team for two reasons. One, I think everybody needs a break. I think when I spoke to Kyle a couple weeks ago, she was in studio. I asked her, I said, how are you doing? It feels like almost anything and everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong for this team. Injuries, you lose a coaching staff, you have multiple position changes, you have so many roster moves, you have all these new people coming in, people coming out, people coming in, people coming out. Like everything and anything that could have gone wrong for this team in the first half of the season did go wrong.
Right.
And I think they all need a mental break from, I don't want to say the game because but I don't know. The only way to say it is honestly, not picking up a ball for 2 days, just unwind, relieve, let it go, and then go and attack film. That's what I think everyone else is doing. What I think this All-Star break for Kalia is two things. One, awesome opportunity for her to take in, her third straight All-Star game, and she's always said she's super grateful for it, and that she said that she's never really been present for these games in the past, and now she's able to be present, and I'm happy for her in that regard. But I also think this is going to be really crucial for her because I don't want to diss this current team because I don't.
Right.
She's now going around all All-Stars. She's going to be around Candace Parker again, Asia Wilson, Xander Sloot.
Again, not to cut you off, but again, to your point, love CP. That's the queen. She's done a lot for me.
Greatest basketball player in WNBA history. I'm sorry. People can argue Maya Moore with me all the time, but I'm sorry. Candace Parker is the best women's basketball player.
Listen,
period.
Something you don't know about me is GBO all the way. We a volunteers fan, so I'm rocking with it. I just go big orange, baby. But don't ask me how I got over to Tennessee, but I just did. All right, I'm rocking with it. But I think.
But with Kalia being at this All-Star game, I think it will also allow, I think because she was in this leadership role for the first time, she is someone that she can be vocal, but she's definitely more of a lead by example type person. And I think she kind of had to learn how to be both because you're the only person, because now Rebecca's not there. She was starter. Dana's off the bench. Ruthie was with maternity leave. So she's really the only one there. And you had to learn how to be vocal. And I think she was trying to navigate it. And I think that's the beauty of having Courtney Williams there is because she's the loudest person on that court all the time. She's so vocal, very
clear from up top all the time when we're just covering them up. Damn. All
the time. IQ next level. She's got one of the highest basketball IQs. And I think that's something that Kalia needs. And that veteran experience is great for her on the court. But I also believe that she needs to be back around people that have been in the league 10, 15 plus years like Candace. And I also think she can use this weekend to talk to them and absorb and be like, what are they doing in their roles on their team? Or what have they done? Being away from them for a while, you may have missed something, and being back around them, I think will give her a renewed perspective on how to be a leader for this team. And I think regardless of how she plays in the All-Star game, because it doesn't matter at the end of the day, but I think this is going to be a massive learning weekend for her. And I think if that is the case, the Sky want to be in playoff contention. They need to win 4 of their next 5 games, and they're easy wins. You have Phoenix and Seattle. They should be easy wins. I'm sorry, you're not going to beat Las Vegas. You're not. Las Vegas.
We're beating Las Vegas.
I'm glad you have that hope.
We're beating Las Vegas.
Las Vegas is the most complete basketball team I have ever seen. Elsie Gray.
When I tell you, I looked at this woman in her eyes, and she from North Philly, not North Philly.
North Philly, that's
She
right.
said, I got that on my calendar. I said, okay, I hear you. I got you. Like, we've been seeing Kahleah Copper flirt with 30-pointers her entire career because every time she gets to 28, she's just like, fuck it. But it's like, I think that's the game you're going to see her pop off. But to your point,
I would love to, but at the same time, you need more than Kahleah to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think that's the point you made. And I want to, two things I want to say. One, Candace Parker, I love you. Averaging 10 points on the year, that's kind of wild to me that you're an all-star, but not Courtney Williams. But anyways, I digress.
I will, before we continue that, no. Here, again, all-star is fan voted.
I hear that.
What team are fans watching more than anyone else this year? Las Vegas. And it's also CP3.
Listen, free C-Dub. Free C-Dub is all I'm saying.
Look, I want her to be an all-star, but if anything, she better make it on that all WNBA team. Better. If she doesn't,
it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. I'm going to have to call Kathy. I'm going to call Kathy if it doesn't happen, but it's going to be an issue. But it's definitely something that I think if you go there and you look at Candace Parker, I've talked to Ka this, and I try to I'm weird when I ask questions in the media sometimes, because sometimes I'm like, man, I'm no shade, love everybody in the room. But I'll be like, man, y'all dogging her right now. I'll be like, hey, yo, you remember in 2021 when the first half of the season, everybody was hurt from Allie to Sloot to Candace. And then in the second half, y'all won a fucking championship. Do you remember that? Do you remember being the last seed in the entire playoff bracket and somehow winning it all? You remember that, right? And then she always kind of just looks at me and it's like, that's something I think you need to go talk to Candace about. If she is, and it's a very big pride thing, because obviously Kahleah's like, nah, fuck it. This is my team now. I don't need anybody's help. And I understand that. But if I was Kahleah, I would look at Candace and say, listen, 2021, we had a very similar situation happen outside of the coaching thing. That was just out of left field. That just kind of happened. But it's definitely something that I think you could look at her and say, how did you handle this as a leader? How did you make sure people are responding to this in the second half and really still believing in this product? And that's what I think is going to be the most important, because I'm not saying it's the 2021 team, but if Izzy and Rebecca come back, I think they can go tick for tack with just about anybody.
That Isabel Harrison injury, Rebecca Gardner going down is always bad. But
we had so many guards, it was cool.
Exactly. Isabel Harrison's injury, it was a real tough one to swallow, because they need that size. And I think, especially in the Atlanta series that they just had,
with them in the paint, it's just not the same.
And this sounds bad, but they're getting physically bullied inside, man. This is the smallest team in the WNBA. They are small. The tallest person's 6'4". That's a small WNBA team, and that's why
that's Birch, right? Morgan,
yes, 6'4", 6'4.5". So when you don't, and then she went down. So now your biggest person you had was Ewell at 6'3",
right? And
she knows she's undersized.
I will say, smartest center I've ever talked to. One of the smartest in the game.
I just need to talk about this one Ewell play that I sat there on press row and I was like, wow. She missed the bunny on in transition, missed the bunny, got her rebound, foot was just behind the line, but had enough space. She bounced the ball hard enough in front of a defender to get over to Alana Smith to lay it in. That is the spatial awareness and court vision and IQ. And the other thing that shows is how much this team is fighting. They want every point. They're getting down on themselves. And this is something that I really think Kahleah can help control in the second half, is the mentality, because there are sometimes you have a bad shooting night. You can't let those poor shots then dictate more poor shots coming. Right. And I don't mean just shots not falling. I'm talking about shot selection as well. Because sometimes these girls are taking great, sometimes the shot selection is there. You're wide open, just won't go. Great drive, didn't fall. Sometimes that's basketball. That's how it is. The ball sometimes doesn't want to go on the rim.
And I will say that's my only critique I really have on Kahleah Copper. I love her game.
I want to see her drive more. I want to see her drive.
Yeah, it's not even that, but it's when the first play just disappears, it's gone. It's not happening. We got to make a backup. We got to go somewhere. We got to figure something out. First plays got broken up. Kahleah doesn't always take the greatest shot selection for that second attempt. She kind of just creates her own shot. And I think if she just hold on, give the ball back to court,
Exactly.
Reassign. Let's figure out what's happening. Regroup, and we can figure it out. Instead, Ka's like, man, fuck it, 3. And I'm just like, oh, like that's cool because you hit them, but it's like in the playoffs, we're gonna need you to hit them.
Right, and that's the thing though, is when you're sometimes taking these poor shots and they go, that sometimes actually hurts you in the long run, because you're like, I'm taking a shot. I took a bad shot. I went, oh, okay, I can continue to take these bad shots because I'm hot. No, like that's not how it works.
It'll make Dana want to take these shots. It'll make other people. It creates bad habits that I think.
Exactly.
And I'm not gonna sit there and tell Ka how to hoop because she knows what she's doing. But it's like it's one of those things where I feel like, yo, just like chill out, like because right now, and Ka obviously always being the engine, them always saying she's the engine to this team.
Yeah.
But right now you're missing a lot of other parts. So just kind of make up for those. And I know that's a lot to ask, but it's like become a facilitator.
No, I don't think it is. I think what it is I think Kalia needs to break up her leadership, if that makes, and I don't mean break up as in relinquish it. I mean break it up as she had to kind of do this in 2 parts. The first part of her leadership she got down, which is teaching the system to this new team, this brand new team. Legit. Everyone wants to talk about
I don't think she really had to teach it that hard either, because you got Elizabeth.
Because you have the IQ and the talent level is there. So like that was the thing that I think she kind of put a majority of her energy into, is wanting to teach this system. And the second part is the leadership on the court and off the court. We see that she's a great leader off the court, not knocking that. Like their off the court chemistry, we see it in how they are in social. We see it's there. But what they need to do is sometimes, and this sounds bad, but I sometimes feel like everyone's individual egos get in the way. You're seeing Kalia sometimes take those bad shots. You're sometimes seeing, Marina not make the extra pass. Sometimes you're seeing Ewell hesitate again. It's a lot. Basketball is a game where you should not be thinking. And you're seeing them think, and that's a problem. You should not be thinking on the court. Everything should be fluid. It should be movement, especially with what they've been preaching all year, which is they want to turn their defense into offense, have everything be transitional. For it to be transitional, you need to not think. Turn the brain off, hit the court, and just ball, just hoop. That's all you got to do. And the talent's there. And I think they sometimes get hung up in these really, really, really small details that 1,000% do play a factor into whether or not you win a game. But at the end of the day, you need to have the trust in your own self and the trust in your teammates that you guys know the system, understand the system and each other's IQ to be able to know when to make the extra pass, to be able. And that's what I think this break is going to be there for. You're seeing the growth every game. That 6-game skid was really rough to sit through, because for me, I sat there when I saw like they lost to Atlanta, and I was like, and I looked at the stat sheet, I was like, okay, that was really just a bad shooting night. And that happens in basketball. But then you look at that Los Angeles Sparks game, and then you look at the Vegas game, and then you're looking at Connecticut, and then you're like, wait a second. Yeah, it's a bad shooting night, but it's not just a bad shoot. Something's off, and it's nothing on a stat sheet. It's nothing on a stat sheet. That's the thing. Everyone wants to keep in mind, oh, someone's plus minus. Oh, someone's offensive rebounding. Oh, someone's 3-point percentage. That has nothing to do with this. This is something that's intangible. This is something that's not going to show up on a stat sheet. What this team needs to do is honestly, and I hate, like, they've had to do this twice. They've had to hit the reset button. And this is a reset button that not just, like, I think what it was prior was not mentality. They needed to redo some things with their system. And that's what happened. They put Courtney at the PG spot. They figured out different bench moves. They reorganized their schematics. X's and O's got a little bit different. They started to hedge more. We started to see more corner trapping, which the moment they do corner trap and they trap at the top and they trap over in that top left wing, that's how these points come off of it, because of stops. You're shutting down any offensive set before they can even get set up. And that's what they needed to get back to. They got back to it. Now it's a mentality thing. It's an ego thing. It's in here. It's nothing that you can't teach.
The way I was talking to Chris about it.
You have to learn how to put yourself aside and just hoop with your team. It's not one-on-one. This is 5-on-5. You got to learn how to hoop with your team. At the end of the day.
I think it's something too that, like, and I didn't mean to try to cut you off, but it's something I would love to talk to you about. It's just, I was talking to Steven about it. We were just sitting there and I said, sometimes I feel like Marina's still playing with Enrique. Sometimes I feel like she's still in Dallas. Sometimes I feel like Courtney's still in Connecticut. And that's something that's going to be a part of this, is you're like in ISO situations, Marina's just so used to taking that shot. But instead you have Ka wide open for the 3. And it's like, dish it out. Like, she could shoot it. Like, you have a team that you could really build something with, like that 2021 Sky team. Bringing in Candace, let's be real about the situation. The rest of the team had been there already. It was really just plugging in Candace, who is your Elizabeth Williams of the team, that IQ-wise, I could figure this out. And it was perfect. This is a whole new juggernaut from all different places of the world. It's like you go to public school and you got kids from all over the city. And it's like, the fuck? Like, where are you guys from? Like, and it's like, some people got, numbers as streets. Some people have names as streets. Some people are all the way in the burbs. Like, it just depends on it. And I think that's something that, for the second half of this season, the first half was really, we're just trying to figure this out. And the second half, to Kalia's point, is now we're going to go on a run and we're really going to make people suffer for it.
Well,
but what do you think? Like, and I want to be careful with it too, because I don't want, someone's going to quote me and it's going to happen. But it's my last one for you. I know we got a lot going on today. The midseason trade deadline, everything that's going on with that. A lot of people are wondering, buyers or sellers, or just stay pat and wait for the reinforcements like Bex and obviously Izzy to come back. Do you see them, especially with James not there? Because obviously when your GM is still present, it's so huge. If James was just the head coach, it would have been, I think it's a very different conversation. But when you look at Emre, I think great coach, don't see him being the long-term GM. Do you think they would allow him or force his hand to, hey, I think we need to sell. Hey, I think we need to do this.
No, not
Where do you see this team doing at the deadline?
Nothing.
That's what I thought. That's exactly how I felt.
This is more of a dig at the WNBA than it is anything else, because I could go on a whole spiel on how this league is run.
That's a whole different show.
But no, because these girls just spent 2 months figuring out their system, understanding their system, finding a play together. Why break it up? Why? You're ninth in standings. It's July. It's not August yet. If it's August and you're ninth in standings, that would be a problem. But it's July, and then I hate saying, like, their toughest part of the schedule was the first half of the season. It was. If you look at the second half of the schedule, they have some winners that they can win. Like, you have Minnesota, you have Seattle, you have Phoenix. You're going to play some juggernauts again. Like, you got Connecticut one more time. You got Vegas one more time. I think they got New York one more time. Yep. Like, you have an opportunity to go on a run. This team, 1,000% has the talent to do it. We saw it. We've seen it in the games that they win. When they win games, that is a team that can they can make some noise and cause some problems in the playoffs. 1,000%. However, to get to the playoffs, you obviously got to win basketball games. Right. And the one thing I will say that I am, like, you brought up a really good point. You're seeing a lot of similarities. It's kind of eerily similar to the 2021 season.
Hey, listen.
No, it's true though. It's
I'm just saying what I'm seeing.
No, it is though.
On Twitter mad about it. We don't have Candace. Yeah, but bro, we got Ka. Like, I'll take Ka over Candace right now, and I mean that fully disrespectfully. If anybody wants to argue about it, I'll take it. Like, it's cool with me.
Younger legs, man. Younger legs. I'll take younger legs.
Give me the engine over CP. I love CP, but at this point, give me Ka. Like, I believe in Ka, and I also believe in. I love CP. I do, and I don't mean any disrespect by it. But growing up, looking at Ka and how she grew up and where she grew up, North Philly, doing her thing, like, that's somebody I want to run through a wall with.
Exactly.
And if I'm looking at Ka right now.
She said that just this past week.
Yeah.
This is a team I want to go to war with. And if your leader is saying that, they're not going to break this team up. No. That would be that would be a catastrophic move if they were.
Like, we got to ask the questions because people are wondering about it. But it's like, for me, even like reading that, I did some poll questions on Twitter today. Hey, what do you want me and Karli to talk about? Are they going to break up the team? Or is this or that? The draft picks? I'm like, you're looking at the wrong board, because I promise you, Kalia might not say it right now openly, but the conversation is, I'm focused on a championship. Like, it's not just getting healthy. Like, she'll say what she needs to say to the media, of course, because she don't give a fuck about us. But like, the inside conversations, I know everybody in that locker room can believe that they're going to win a championship this year, or they're going to contend for one. And I think that's the mentality. When people start, when they start breaking it up, you start to have those conversations. Like last year, I remember I asked Wade, do you think Dana Evans should start over Allie in this series against Connecticut? just because, Allie was going through it at the time. You could tell Allie was just fatigued. You could tell Allie was going through a lot. I was like, Dana's younger. Maybe get Allie off the bench, just get her energy up, score some points, and it could be a beautiful thing. And he just was kind of like, man, why though? Like, why? What are we going to do? There's nothing that's going to happen. Like, this is a bigger issue than just who at one position. So I think that's something right now with this team. There's a lot of fucking issues at each position, but I think that's why they come together, because instead of singling each other out and having those conversations about, is it Allie? Is it Emma? Is it Candace not picking up the slack? Like, who is it? And they can all look at each other and say, yo, it's all of us. Like, all our shit stinks. And that's really what it is, except for Kyle, respectfully. Like, let's be real. But, and Courtney. But I think it's definitely something that I think they're all going to come together and just figure this out. And I think it's going to be a beautiful thing. But I do want to say really quick, thank you for coming on today. You can check out Karli Bell on Twitter, Karli Bell 33, which I think was her old jersey number. I wasn't sure, but
you're right. Well, who do you think it's after though? Because it's not a basketball player. I'm gonna just say that.
Listen, so I wore 33 for a while, but I wore it because of Peanuts. So that was my reason for wearing it.
Oh, same, fam, same.
Come on, Karli.
I wore it.
Come on, Karli. Come on.
Yo, I gotta tell this story before we go. Tell it. So right when I started playing, picked up a basketball for the first time when I was 3 years old. And then I started getting really into it when I was about 9, 10. And you have to, God, I'm going to age myself here. But right when. That's okay. But AAU and travel ball was nowhere near the level of influence that it is now. It was just starting.
Right.
And so I was playing for my grade school and playing church league and all this stuff and like all these other little camps. And I played for my first travel team, and they're like, you get to pick your number. And I didn't. And, my dad was like, you should wear my number. And I was like, no, I'm having my own. That's
how I felt.
Same. And
what?
The year that I started playing competitively was Peanuts rookie season with the Bears. And I am, as much as I am a basketball fan, I am a massive Chicago Bears fan. Massive. Okay. My first sentence was "Go Bears." Okay.
We just did our Justin Fields MVP season episode last night. Like, I'm speaking about it. It's happening.
There we go. We love it. And so when I saw him play, I was like, who this scrawny little cornerback from Louisiana Lafayette? Who is this kid? And then he's peanut punch. And I saw him doing everything defensively. I was like, yes. No, everyone underestimated him. No one knew who he was.
Right.
No one even heard the name Charles Tillman before he came to the Bears. He wasn't even in like a top 10 draft situation.
Yeah.
Like he was somebody
he
made a name for himself. And the other thing that I appreciate about him, and I know you could probably relate to this too, is everything that he's done for the city of Chicago and how much he cares about this city, how much he gives back.
Karli, don't forget. And the world. The man's an FBI agent. Like, can you imagine? And I was thinking about this the other day. I was talking to my boys, and this is Mike's podcast, so we could say whatever we want. But imagine like you're on the corner selling Coke, right? You're just, or whatever you're selling, like you're just doing it. And you look on your left and you see Peanut Tillman running at you in a full sprint, about to peanut punch the shit out of you with an FBI badge. And you're like for me, I used to be a track star. Like I was there. I've been to state. I came second in the state. Like I played lacrosse, football, everything. If I saw Peanut Tillman at age 40 running at me in a full sprint, I'm just standing there. I'm gonna just take it. Like I'm not running. Like take me away.
I'll take the body. I'll just put me in my casket now. That's fine.
Yeah, we good. Like I ain't gonna make you run, big dog. You can walk. I'm good. Please leave me alone.
Don't tackle me. Do not tackle me.
Like I've had 4 concussions playing safety. I'm good. Like we don't need a 5th one. And I promise you, this is the one I won't remember. But yeah, that was how I felt. Like my whole family, 22 is our number, and I was like, I'm like 4 or 5 at the time. I'm not Dwayne Wade. Like I'm gonna wear number 3. So I wore number 3, and that was my whole career. I wore 3 until some quarterback wore it instead of me. So I was like, whatever. I had to pick 33, and I was like, whatever. I'm a safety anyways. It's cool. Like
that's a great safety number. That's a good safety number for sure.
Yeah, I was rocking with 3. I was like, cool, 3's cool. And then they were like, here's 33, and I was like, what? And then the next year they're like, here's 10, and I was like, what's happening? Like I just want to be 3. Like that's all I want. Like what are we doing? In baseball, I always got it because I was a center fielder. But it's definitely my favorite number. So 33 has a special place in my heart too. But Karli, again, we appreciate you for coming on. Obviously, if you're just tuning in right now, the Flash is in Chicago yet again, but this time it's a lot better than that bullshit 2016 Bulls team that I wish spent a lot more time together than they did. If they were all in their prime, all in their prime, we had a dynasty in the making. You know, Jimmy, Rondo, Lopez, obviously D Wade, Dougie. Don't forget about Doug McDougie. You know what I mean?
Don't forget about Dougie.
Don't ever forget about Dougie. I miss that white boy so much. But with that being said, this is another episode of Skyline. You can always check it out on the All Sports, All Plays Network. Follow me on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram at theshy.kid. Follow the Karli Bell at the Marquee Sports Network. They do amazing things over there. I see them every morning on my way to Wrigley to work. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
All Sports, All Plays. All Sports, All Plays. All Sports, All Plays. 365, we making a place. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're out in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All Sports, All Plays.